get into this. All right, I'm going to get right into this in a big way. Let's just hit it. Let's hit it hard. Nothing's going to get in our way. This is about the national healthcare fraud takedown, resulting in currently 324 defendants charged in connection with over 14.6 billion in alleged fraud. Trump officially got his super moment where he found the waste, he found the fraud, he gets the win. I didn't think he would. I really didn't think he would. I did not think. I knew Medicare had fraud. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I knew it had fraud. I just didn't think it was going to be the big, slippery, wet seal out of all of them. You know what I mean? Like, you expect retirement to have fraud, votes to have fraud, disability to have fraud, taxation to have fraud. 14.6 billion, the largest healthcare fraud in the history of the human race. Let's get into it. June 30th, 2025, Tampa, Florida. This is straight from the Office of Inspector General. We are going to be going through all of the different groups, all the different states that they arrested, all the people. It is particularly spicy. Let's get into it. Tampa, Florida. The Justice Department today announced the result of its 2025 National Healthcare Fraud Takedown, which resulted in criminal charges against 324 defendants, including 96 doctors. 96 doctors, nurse practitioners, pharmacists, and other licensed medical professionals in 50 federal districts and 12 state attorneys' general offices across the United States for their alleged participation in various healthcare fraud schemes involving over 14.6 billion in intended loss. All right, so I partnered recently with Chapter Medicare. Bottom line with this video, I just want you to know something. Because there's so much unrest, give them a call. Make sure your program's going to be okay. Make sure the doctors you're using are going to be okay. Let them give your Medicare a tune-up and see if you're on the right plan. Bottom line is, this is what they do. They have access to more programs and opportunities than anybody else because they're massive. Give them a shot, try them out, see if you like them, but give them a call. You know what I mean? I don't do what I preach, which is I don't go to my insurance carriers and check in with them every 6 to 12 months to swap out my insurance for a better price. I'm just saying you could do that. Go ahead here. And they even gave me a special thing. You see, askchapter.org/disability. That's me, the disability attorney, the most viewed, the most subscribed to, the most clicked on disability attorney in America. Here we go. The takedown involved federal and state law enforcement agencies across the country and represents an unprecedented effort to combat healthcare fraud schemes that exploit patients and taxpayers. This, quote, record-setting healthcare fraud takedown delivers justice to criminal actors who prey upon our most vulnerable citizens and steal from hardworking American taxpayers, said Attorney General Pamela Bondi. She's a Bondi. She's a tough cookie. She's a cookie that does not crumble. All right. Quote, make no mistake, this administration will not tolerate criminals who line their pockets with taxpayer dollars while endangering the health and safety of our communities. It's a good quote. Didn't seem too fancy. Felt kind of Bondy. I guess it works. In the Middle District of Florida, where I'm at, United States Attorney Gregory W. Kehoe announced the filing of criminal charges in 13 cases. God damn, Middle District of Florida. You got some fraudsters. You got some people you need to work on. All right, charges in 13 cases involving 19 individuals in connection with alleged schemes to defraud programs entrusted for the care of the elderly and disabled and to obtain controlled substances through fraud. Yes, this is like the ultimate shit show, waste, fraud, abuse. That I never thought we were going to see this. I thought we would see it during the Elon era. So I just thought it would pop out during the Elon era. You know what I mean? And now Elon's like the enemy of the Trump. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's just weird. It's like a paranormal universe. It's just how do we end up over here? Quote, millions of Americans rely on the ethical and lawful practices of healthcare professionals and providers to deliver critical services to patients every day, said U.S. Attorney Kehoe. When criminals exploit our federal healthcare programs and betray the trust of their beneficiaries, the integrity of our systems are compromised. Our office will continue to work with our law enforcement partners to ferret out these criminals and bring them to justice. The following individuals have been charged in the Middle District of Florida. Here we go. William Balsamo, not a good person. Here we go. 65, Spring Hill, could be a good person. We haven't hang out with him. We haven't gone to a bar and been like, hey, how's it going? All right. 65 was charged with conspiracy to defraud the United States and to pay and receive healthcare kickbacks in connection with a scheme to provide doctors' orders to pharmacies, durable medical equipment companies, and laboratories in exchange for kickbacks, which led to at least $9 million in losses to Medicare. As alleged in the information, Balsamo was the chief financial officer of Call MD Plus. Oh, William Balsamo. He was the chief financial officer of Call MD Plus, a telemedicine company, I've heard of them, that purported to offer software that enables pharmacies, DME companies, and laboratories to connect their patients with telemedicine doctors who perform consultations. I'm telling you guys, you might have used some of this stuff. You know what I mean? You might want to check on that a little bit. Call MD Plus allegedly obtained signed doctor's orders by paying kickbacks to companies that had relationships with telemedicine doctors and then sold the orders to the pharmacies, DMEs, and laboratories, sometimes through intermediary marketers and resellers, in exchange for kickbacks. The orders were then used to bill for medically unnecessary prescriptions and other items. The case is being prosecuted by Acting Assistant Chief Gary A. Winters of the National Rapid Response Strike Force and Assistant U.S. Attorney David Mesrobian. So just a little quick thing. We're literally starting with the Middle District of Florida. This is my stomping ground. This is my place of fluffy origin with law. So just to be clear here, not all bad people come from Florida. We have a bad reputation, from about, 20%, good people and 80% bad people. I'm just kidding. We just, Florida's a unique place. We have a good time. If you don't want to have a good time, if you don't want string lights and confusion after about 3 hours at a party, then Florida's not your spot. If you don't want mosquitoes that have been, medically modified to basically, fight crime and, basically then you don't want to come to Florida. I will say this, though. The mosquitoes in New Jersey, when I go up there, I'm like, what is wrong with these mosquitoes? Like, did they not go to school? Like, do they not understand the purpose of their being? Like, they're just flying around my head, not biting my ankles. In Florida, let me tell you something. You will wake up at 3 a.m. and that mosquito will be sitting on your nose, sending a message about what's going to happen tomorrow morning. All right, here we go. Edward Canatelli. Here we go. 60 from Parkland, arrested. Robin Canatelli, 68 from Parkland, arrested. Thomas Farisi, 82 from Fort Lauderdale, arrested. And Virginia Lockett, 55. Margate were charged for their roles in a conspiracy to defraud the Medicare program, make false statements relating to healthcare matters, and offer and pay illegal kickbacks and bribes. They are also charged in a second conspiracy to commit wire and healthcare fraud and with related substantive counts concerning the falsification of records in the federal investigation leading to the indictment. The four charged, along with other conspirators, generated medically unnecessary physician's orders via a telemarketing operation for durable medical equipment, DMEs. Through the telemarketing operation, federal healthcare program beneficiaries' personal identification information and other health-related information was harvested, your private stuff, to begin forming DME brace orders. The information related to the emergency brace orders was then transmitted to purported telemedicine vendors that, in exchange for a fee, paid illegal kickbacks and bribes to physicians who signed the orders. often without ever contacting the beneficiary to conduct the required telehealth consultation. The fraudulent brace orders were then returned to the conspirators, who used the orders as support for bogus DME claims submitted to Medicare. This case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney J.G. Trezevant and Tiffany E. Fields. Next person, Grazis Cuellar Hernandez, 41, Tampa, was charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud for contributing to the filing of fraudulent insurance claims for staged traffic crashes, resulting in multiple payouts by insurance companies to a physical rehabilitation clinic in Tampa. Cellular Hernandez worked at the clinic and was involved in recruiting individuals to seek treatment after staging traffic crashes. Oh, buddy. You know what is funny though? Like if you look at Ohio, or you look at Chicago, or you look at honestly New York City and some of the rougher spots, you look at I don't know, you look at Pennsylvania's big city there, you know what I mean? The big joke is if a car crash accident occurs, you will literally see people on bicycles, skateboards, pedestrians jumping onto the car, laying around the car like they were just hit, like they were just injured. And what's sad about it is that is true. There is an abuse of people filing suits who were never injured to begin with. It may come to surprise you that I was just sued by an Amazon driver who slipped on wet concrete outside of my door. But again, when you are a famous YouTuber, famous as whatever you want to define it, that stuff will happen. So it is an unfortunate thing. I'm not saying that her claim in particular is fraudulent in any way. I'm sad that she got hurt, but I will say this: in the spectrum of the reality of what we face, there's a lot of driving problems. You know what I mean? Where people will get into an accident, and then people who claimed that they were in the accident weren't in the car. But then sometimes people do get hurt. Sometimes they really do. But it's sad. It's sad to see that there was an actual clinic with individuals set up to create fake and staged traffic crashes, and then basically do this whole Medicare fraud as a result of it. So it's a very scary thing. Now, with that said, we, to be fair, want people that are injured to be made whole again. And they are tainted by, unfortunately, a lot of these bad people who are doing this stuff. Kjellar Hernandez was paid approximately $52,000 for her role in the conspiracy. The case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Tiffany E. Fields. We also have Alexis Del Sol Perez, 48, Spring Hill, and Carlos Del Sol, 30, of Tampa, were charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud for their roles in submitting fraudulent insurance claims for staged traffic crashes. Oof. I'm telling you guys, this whole staged traffic crashes, this stuff does happen. I mean, literally, people that were not part of the crash will get in the car and pretend like they were in the car. It's a whole thing. Del Sol was also charged with wire fraud for causing the transmission of fraudulently obtained insurance funds. Del Sol Perez was the owner of a physical rehabilitation clinic in Tampa and recruited individuals to participate in staged traffic crashes and seek medical attention at his clinic. Del Sol worked at the clinic and assisted patients from staged car accidents with completing insurance paperwork containing false statements. Additionally, Del Sol was responsible for making cash payouts to individuals involved in the staged traffic crashes. As a result of this scheme, the defendants and co-conspirators obtained at least $4.7 million. $4.7 million in fraudulently obtained proceeds from the offenses. The case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Tiffany E. Fields. Again, we want people who are injured to be able to access, money, medical treatment, medical devices, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Is there a lot of fraud out there? I did not realize how much fraud there actually was. I just didn't. To me, it is really surprising. It is just really surprising that there's this much fraud out there. I really genuinely did not believe we had 14.6 billion worth of fraud that they were able to catch. I mean, remember, there's still a ton out there that they didn't catch. You know what I mean? That they weren't able to, because whenever crime happens, they don't get it all. You know what I mean? Patrick Michael Flint 43 Coconut Creek pled guilty to conspiring to solicit and receive kickbacks for referring Medicare beneficiaries for COVID-19 tests and to purchase and sell Medicare beneficiaries' identification numbers according to the court documents. Flint obtained identifying information from Medicare beneficiaries for the purpose of sending them COVID-19 tests that they had not otherwise requested. He then sold the identifying information to medical providers for the purpose of shipping the COVID-19 tests to the beneficiaries and billing Medicare for the tests. I mean, the guy must have done this a lot to get caught doing this. Flint's actions caused the submission of approximately 84,600 fraudulent claims to Medicare. Can you imagine filing 84,600 like COVID-19 test requests? Can you imagine that? Like your fingers would be turned to mush. You'd have to have a team of people requesting that many, which resulted in reimbursements totaling approximately $7.9 million. Unbelievable. $7.9 million. $7.9 million. As part of his plea, Flint agreed to forfeit to the government a total of $1,266,025 of the proceeds that he obtained during the scheme. The case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Arnold B. Korsmeyer. Next person. Michelle Forsyth, 61 Ocala, was charged with 14 counts of wire fraud and 1 count of aggravated identity theft in connection with using the names and insurance policy information of 22 individuals without their knowledge or consent to overbill health insurance companies. The fraudulent overbillings resulted in a loss of at least $483,000. The case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Hannah Watson. There was also Leo Joseph Gavoni, 67 of Clearwater, and John Leo Witek, 60 of Tampa. That's, hey, and what's sad is like these are like established older people, women and men that are doing this fraud. Real quick, Harry Bear, thank you for the $9.99 donation. I super appreciate that. That's amazing. Let me put a little heart on it real quick. Paying for some karma forward for your tireless efforts, Mr. Hnot. Thank you. Well, I super appreciate it because, I got to be honest with you. It's tough. It's tough to work at the law firm and like push. And then, like you get to like the last phone call, the last motion, the last brief, you submit it. You're like, okay, I'm done. And then 30 minutes later, it's like, hit the screen, get in there. And it's just like, oh man, how do I get the energy? But I super appreciate that, Harry Bear. And thank you for being a member for such an extended period of time. It absolutely is amazing and helps me create more of these videos. We got John Leo Witek, 60 of Tampa. So an older person, okay? We're talking 2 years, maybe 7 years away from retirement. These two were charged by indictment for their roles in conspiracy. That's Leo Joseph Gavoni and John Leo Witek, were charged with it by indictment for their roles in conspiracy to solicit, steal, and misappropriate beneficiary funds from clients of the Center for Special Needs Trust Administration. CSNT was a nonprofit that managed funds for individuals, we talked about this one, with disabilities and other special needs, including those who received court awards, settlements, and other payments. As of February 2024, the indictment alleges CSNT managed more than 2,100 special needs trusts containing approximately $200 million. This case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Jennifer Perezzi and trial attorney Lindy Freeman of the Criminal Division Fraud Section. Very spicy indeed. This actually was a horrific one because this affected a lot of people and it wiped out their special needs trusts. And it was very, very bad. Very, very sad. Lauren Hornbuckle, there's a name, 36 Seminole area, was charged with 1 count of tampering with the consumer product in connection with her unlawfully acquiring and tampering with morphine at a hospital. Whew. Case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Greg Pizzo. Paula Perrone. Let's check it out. What did she do? 68 Ocala and Sophie Dufort, 56 Gainesville, were charged with various counts of conspiracy, healthcare fraud, and paying kickbacks in connection with an alleged scheme to fraudulently bill Medicare over $8.6 million for medically unnecessary orthotic braces. According to the indictment, Perrone and Dufort owned and operated DME companies that offered and paid illegal kickbacks to their co-conspirators in exchange for signed doctor's orders for medically unnecessary DMEs that were then billed to Medicare. The case is being prosecuted by trial attorney Jody King and the Florida Strike Force. Very spicy. Ricardo Ramos, 49, Tampa, was charged with one count of conspiracy to commit money laundering for his role in conducting financial transactions involving proceeds of mail fraud. Ramos was a chiropractor at a physical rehabilitation clinic in Tampa. So if you go to chiropractic treatment in Tampa, just be careful. Your guy might not be available anymore. His co-conspirators recruited individuals to stage traffic accidents, file false police reports related to the staged traffic crashes, and then seek treatment at the clinic where Ramos worked. Ramos performed evaluations on the recruited individuals and directed them to report high levels of pain in order to diagnose purported injuries and prescribe future treatments. In some instances, no evaluations were performed, and Ramos still generated diagnoses to facilitate the filing of fraudulent insurance claims. Ramos also completed medical forms with prescriptions for DME based on the fake injuries. These false claims were submitted to insurance companies and resulted in the insurance companies sending payments to the clinic where Ramos worked. These funds were then used to compensate Ramos and the recruited individuals for their roles in the scheme. As a result of the conspiracy, Ramos obtained approximately $169,000. Case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Tiffany E. Fields. What's kind of interesting about this is that what's popping up are fake personal injury situations. Basically, car accidents, and then these clinics would, go ahead and benefit from it by having these actors go ahead and play the part of some injured individual. Look, again, it's sad. It doesn't help those who actually get injured. The problem is, what calls into question is, okay, you get somebody who's injured, they go hire an attorney. The attorney sends them to an extremely pro doctor that says they're completely destroyed. And then we have to question, okay, is this person actually injured or are they a fibber? Right. And then we send them to other doctors to get like a more neutral general understanding of what's going on, and then it becomes a battle of the experts. Or we send them to the opposing litigating individuals' side, and they see what their doctor says and go from there. But it is a lot of this fraud that costs you Medicare for all. It's a lot of this fraud that makes people not believe in people who get injured, and that's not good. We want truly injured individuals, people who truly, have disabling impairments, to go ahead and have a shot at having the money to become healthy again, or at least as healthy as they can. A lot of times, let's just be fair about this. The government will sell to a lot of people the identification that they will be able to, going forward, have this cure or feel less of this pain or blah, 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 blah. In reality, a lot of you can attest to this. You never really get to the point you want to be. You never really get healthy back to the spot you want to be. That's why we have disability benefits. All right, next one. Chad Monroe, 47, Tarpon Springs, was charged with conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud and mail fraud, conspiracy to defraud the United States to offer, pay, solicit, and receive healthcare kickbacks, violations of the anti-kickback statute, and wire fraud in connection with the scheme to fraudulently bill Medicare Advantage plans, and TRICARE for more than $28 million for orthotic braces, and to receive approximately $15 million in illegal kickbacks and bribes related to genetic testing. That's spicy. $15 million in illegal kickbacks. TRICARE for more than $28 million with Medicare Advantage plans and Medicare in general. This guy must have been pushing this stuff. I sit back and I think to myself, I always don't have lots and lots of money. I'm always like looking at payroll. I'm looking at like, okay, what do we have covered? What can we do? Stuff like that. And then I see these guys doing this stuff, 28 million, 15 million illegal kickbacks. Like, God damn, you know what I mean? It's upsetting. You know what I mean? It's when you're doing it the right way, you don't make that much money and it sucks, Monroe was also a marketer who generated and sold doctor's orders for genetic testing. He also charged for submitting a false economic injury disaster loan application and aiding and abetting in the submission of a false paycheck protection loan program loan. Previously, a boat purchased for over $600,000. A boat purchased for $600,000. Like in my head, I can't even imagine like what a boat like that would even look like. It would have to be like it'd have to be like a 100-foot yacht. You know what I mean? That maybe a couple of years old, or maybe more, 5 years. I don't even know. Guys, $600,000 boat and more than $1 million from an investment account were seized. The case is being prosecuted by senior litigation counsel Catherine Wagner and trial attorney D. Keith Klauser of the National Rapid Response Strike Force. Now we have Ananga Unoa, aka Frank Emika, 61, St. Petersburg, was charged for making a false statement in the passport application and theft of government funds. According to the indictment, Nahua, a Nigerian citizen living in the United States, obtained 2 social security numbers by fraudulently claiming to be a United States citizen. Using these social security numbers, Nahua applied for and received benefits from the United States to which he was not entitled. As part of this scheme, Anuaha obtained more than $2.2 million in social 2.2 million in Social Security disability insurance benefits and Medicare benefits. But you know that was probably mostly from Medicare, because if he had only 2 Social Security like numbers to use for 2 SSDI applications, I think you could probably guess, like, to be fair, like with this situation, honestly, with this whole thing, most of that money that he stole, of that 2.2 million, probably came from Medicare stuff. The case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Lindsay Schmidt and Special Assistant U.S. Attorney Matthew J. Del Mastro. Next one, Eric Strom Holland, 54, Fort Myers, was charged with wire fraud and distributing and dispensing controlled substances in connection with an alleged scheme to deceive doctors into writing controlled substance prescriptions based on false pretenses. As alleged in the complaint, Holland recruited unwitting doctors for his all-virtual pain clinic using a series of lies designated to induce them to work for him and to prescribe controlled substances, including oxycodone. These lies included that the pain clinic had a physical location when in fact all operations during the pertinent periods were purely virtual. That patients were being physically examined by medical practitioners, such as nurse practitioners, before doctors were asked to prescribe, and that there were long-term doctors with whom the patients had a standing relationship, and that the temporary doctors were just refilling prescriptions as part of an established regimen of care, and that safeguards to prevent against drug abuse, such as urine screens, were being used. Holland's scheme resulted in the improper dispensing of more than, holy shit, 103,000 oxycodone pills. 103,000 oxycodone pills. Imagine, you know what I mean? Like, that's an entire industry of selling illegal oxycodone. The case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Benjamin S. Winter. An information or indictment is merely a formal charge. Defendant has committed one or more violations of federal criminal law, and every defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. The MDFL has worked with the Department of Criminal Division, the following law enforcement operations, yada, yada, different OIGs, IRSs, so on and so forth. That is absolutely mind-blowing. That's just, to be fair, the Middle District of Florida. That's just the Middle District of Florida. Like, just let that sink in for a moment. Let that just sink in for a moment, that that's one geographic area of Florida. Just let that sink in. Again, just keep in mind with this whole thing, please remember to like, please remember to subscribe. We recently partnered with Chapter. They gave me my own little cute URL with a little disability at the end. Most viewed and subscribed to and clicked on Disability Attorney gets his own little link. Very nice. But bottom line is, give them a call, give them a chance to tune up your Medicare program, see what they can find for you. I mean, it's a free service, so just see what you can do there. All right. If you need here, I'll hold the number up, but I know some people don't. I put it up and then I take it down. That's the number, the 339-226-6287. Give them a call, see if they can tune up your Medicare program for you. Let's go over here. Hold on. I got another one for you. This is a good one. Hold on. Check this out. All right, so right here. All right, next one. Got another one. This is Tampa, Florida. Still from OIG. 4 charged with healthcare fraud and related crimes. Tampa, United States Attorney Jerry W. Kehoe announces the unsealing. So here's the thing. A lot of these get sealed, and then I can't tell you about them because, it would be illegal for me to talk about them. Gregory W. Kehoe announces the unsealing of an indictment charging Edward Conatelli, 60 of Parkland, Robin Conatelli, 68 of Parkland, Thomas Faris, 82 for Lauderdale, Virginia Lockett, 55 Margate for their roles. Oh, we just did this one. This is where they had a bunch of illegal kickbacks and bribes and all that jazz. People doing bad things. What do we have here? We have Middle District of Florida. Oh, we have the actual indictment. And this was unsealed. This is unsealed. All right, we're going to save this one where I'll go through it in detail. Yeah, this is it. And this has all the Medicare goodies. This is all of it. This is all the Medicare goodies, people, right here. All the Medicare goodies of what they did. All right, we're going to save this one for a different video because we're just doing overviews right now. We're just talking about how epic the Medicare fraud is. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. All right, let's check this out real quick over here. Let me see what we got. All right, we got, that's the Ocala, Florida nonprofit founder, 100 million. We went through that one. Let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah, check this out. This is a really cool thing. Hold on, let me show you this real quick. Hold on, check this out. So what they did was they grafted out, and they did a good job. So check this out. This is the 2025 National Healthcare Fraud Takedown. So like, if you're wondering if they like made a PowerPoint, they made a PowerPoint. Let's check it out real quick. Hold on. This is quite spicy. Good stuff. Hold on. All right. So over here, how spicy was this takedown that you ask? Well, we know it was 14.6 billion of intended fraud, loss charged. 15.6 million pills of controlled substances illegally distributed. 15.6 million friggin' pills. Okay. 245 million cash and other assets seized. And other assets, they mean that $600,000 boat. Criminal enforcement, 324 have been arrested. Civil enforcement, 48.6 million settlements and charges, 50 federal districts. That's just, we just did Florida. Middle District. They found in all 50 districts, well, I mean, it's 50 total that they found. In 50 federal districts, they went after people. And I mean, Florida had quite a few. Look, it is what it is. It is what it is. 126 defendants. Damn. It's just spicy. It's very spicy. All right, let's talk about where it was the worst. We know where it was the worst. Okay. There were poor Florida. I'm so sorry. I'm not saying they were the worst. I'm just saying poor Florida. All right. Got 189 federal cases, 50 federal districts, 91 state cases in 12 states. Oh, these people, they're all right. They're all right. A little bit of whoops, whole lot of whoops. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, woo, buddy. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know what to tell you. It's spicy. It's very spicy. All right. Operation Gold Rush. That's what they're calling this whole thing. All right. This is the big thing. People over in Russia and other countries, and actually some from Africa, they would be Pakistan too. They would take the money, get it over here. They basically hacked it away from us. 10 billion plus in fraudulent claims. Transnational criminal organization buys over 30 medical supply companies across the United States that were already enrolled in Medicare. The TCO sends individuals from Russia and Estonia to the United States to act as straw owners for these companies. The TCO sends straw owners to the U.S. banks with the false documentation to open the bank accounts in names of these companies. So just to help you understand, this was so amazingly, horribly orchestrated that you had big money groups that were buying 30 medical supply companies who were already connected to Medicare, who would then go and basically send, spies, thieves, fraudsters from Russia and Estonia to go to banks and do even more damage. It's terrible. TCO transmits over 10 billion in fraudulent claims to Medicare for urinary catheters and other medical equipment that doctors never ordered, patients never requested, and patients never received. TCO receives 941 million from the Medicare and Medicare supplemental insurers and then launders the money to accounts overseas. It's not good. I mean, it's just, I never thought Trump would get his big thing. You know what I mean? But see now, I don't know. He's been a little bit, he was looking for it. And, he got, Elon left and this thing hits. It's like Elon missed the lottery on this thing. Because, Elon's whole thing was that. And now Elon's like, oh, I don't like Trump. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, because he's not getting all that electric car money. 27.7 million seized in fraud proceeds, 19 defendants charged, 5 districts charged, Central District of California, Middle District of Florida, Northern District of Illinois, District of New Jersey, Eastern District of New York. So guys, if you're in these districts, Cali, Florida, Illinois, New Jersey, New York, realize the doctors you might have been using, the medical stuff you might have been using, the medical equipment companies you might have liked, there might be a problem. 4 defendants are arrested in Estonia. 8 defendants are arrested attempting to flee the United States. Oh yeah, they arrested them. Some of them were at the airport trying to fly out. They got them at LAX, JFK, EWR, and TPA. And these people knew. They arrested them while they were trying to get on, their flights. LAX, JFK, EWR, and TPA. Locations of medical supply companies. All right, so here's the deal. If you're not able to get a medical supply, it might be because you live around this area and this area used to source that from that company, or, somehow could be whatever. You know what I mean? There might be some connection to it. Burbank, California, Bethel, Connecticut, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Bowling Green, Kentucky, Tannersville, Tannersville. Tannersville, PA is right in the Poconos. And it's right next to the big ski place called Camelback Skiing. I used to go ski there as a kid. In fact, I was 2 weeks ago I was in Tannersville, PA, going to the brewery there. Because, when I work on the farm, it's hard labor. It sucks. So, my big thing is I go to the brewery there and basically just, have a night because it's a beautiful drive. But that's crazy. Tannersville, PA. Wow. Brooklyn, New York. I'm not surprised. Staten Island, New York. I'm not surprised. Not even a little bit. El Paso, Texas. Fort Worth, Texas. Hutchins, Texas. San Antonio, Texas. God damn. Man, Texas. You got a lot of fraud going on. Alexandria, Virginia. Garland, Texas. There's Texas again. Alexandria, Kentucky. There's a couple. There's Alexandria, Virginia, and Alexandria, Kentucky. My goodness. Coral Springs. Now I'm going to get it. Now Florida's going to pop up because we got Fort Lauderdale, Coral Springs, Naples. I'm going to get it now. I can feel we getting it. All right. Fairhope, Alabama. Grand Prairie, Texas. There's Texas again. Poor Texas. We're coming up a lot, people. If you wonder if Texas is a good place to get your medical equipment, let me tell you, you might have a little issue over the next couple of weeks. Kennesaw, Georgia. Naples, Florida. Natchez, Mississippi. Roselle, Illinois. Okay, locations of primary banks used. So this is where the banks were that they were doing the fraud through, or they were at least attempting to. Here we go. Foley, Alabama. Wherever the hell that is. And there's going to be somebody in the comments that's like, I live in Foley for 50 years. Screw you for not knowing Foley. I'm a baby. Look, do any of you, let me take a quick moment here. I'm probably not even pronouncing it right. It might be Foley, Folia. I don't know. It's Foley, Alabama. Have any of you ever heard of that place? Back me up here. Anybody ever heard of that place? Glendale, California, Sarasota, Florida, Kennesaw, Georgia, Oak Brook, Illinois, Alexandria, Kentucky, New Orleans, Louisiana. Not surprised on that one. Natchez, Mississippi, Las Cruces, New Mexico, Brooklyn, New York, New York. Of course. Malvern, PA, El Paso, Texas, and Garland, Texas. Anybody know where Foley, Alabama is? Can I get the most common city name? The most common city name out of all of this would be New York. I mean, that's New York, New York. That's it. That's the most common name out of all of them, right there. But Foley, Alabama, I do not. Does anybody know where that is? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody? Nope. Nobody even knows. Susan Smith, you're making me hungry for Spanish food. Let me just be honest. Okay. If we're honest about quesadillas, eggs and rice, you can get into a relationship with somebody who can make those and not realize that you might hate the other person because you grew apart, but that food, that is the glue that keeps people together. That's good food, I'm telling you. All right, let's get over here. All right, that was their entire schmutz. They're very good PowerPoint. I love it. I love it lots. Thank you, Lisa C. Also, thank you for becoming a member. This is absolutely amazing. Let me put a little heart on there. Lisa C said, will this reduce cuts in Medicaid from Big Bill? No, I mean, it's not going to. So Big Bill is voted, I'm pretty sure, through whether in part or in whole, because there were some disparities between, let me see, did the Big Bill fully go through? Let me see, because there were some problems there where the Senate bill and the House bill didn't perfectly match. Did the big, beautiful bill pass? Let's see what they said, okay? House sends GOP's big, beautiful bill to Trump's desk, a major win for Republicans. That was 9 hours ago. So I guess they came together on it. You know, sometimes what happens is they're not a perfect match, and then Trump gets it, he writes some notes on it, and then it becomes passed or whatever. But, you know, they try to get it as close as they can. All right. So I don't think Trump's Medicaid thing is going to, you know what? Let me do a video on that, because a lot of people have been asking me about how Trump's going to like end Medicaid or ruin Medicaid or this or that. And Medicaid is not being ended. There are cuts coming to it. You know, a lot of it is related to, of course, immigrants, you know what I mean? But the bottom line is, I'll do a video on it because a lot of people don't have the truth going on out there. There's good and there's bad. You know what I mean? It's just, it is what it is. All right. With that said, we have covered a significant amount of fraud, most specifically for Florida, because that's the one I wanted to go through, because I was just amazed by all those doctors. Now, with that said, I want you to kind of keep in mind something, and I think it's important. If you're not sure if this is going to affect you, and you're in the Medicare, you know, camp, right? Look here, go give them a call. I partnered with them. I don't do Medicare. Medicare is not my thing. I never got the certification in it. I never wanted to get the certification in it. My certifications have to do with, you know, law, right? So essentially becoming an attorney, Florida bar, also, you know, middle district bar, also, you know, basically, whatchamacallit, I have the VA certification to represent clients before the veteran, you know, affairs group, you know, going and doing the board stuff, blah, blah, blah. The point is, right, I don't do Medicare. Medicare ain't my thing. So if you want to ask them, get a tune-up on your Medicare, ask them if you're on the right program for what's offered out there. Give Chapter a call, 339-226-6287, or use this adorable link, because I am the disability attorney and I'm super special, and they gave me a cute link with disability on it. With that said, we have covered a massive amount of fraud that's occurring. We're going to deep dive. Now, remember, some of these I am allowed to go and get the actual indictment sheet, and I'm going to go through it with you guys so you can see what they're doing. This one is unsealed. I'll pull whichever ones I can that are unsealed. Some of them are not unsealed. So I just need you to understand, it's not that I don't want to share it with you. It is that I am legally bound to not print it out and read it to you. All right. With that said, please remember to like and subscribe. The next video, I'm going to go live and answer questions for free from the general public. You get 5-minute mini consultations on disability law. Please remember to head over to Google, type in Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida. I will catch you a little bit later. And remember, if you need a full 1 hour to access my brain, there's a bio link below where you can fill out a mini contract and get a 1 hour presentation. I will catch you all a little bit later. You have a wonderful night, and we will rock and roll from there. Thank you so much, Attorney Walter Hnot, and have a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful 4th of July. Thank you, and see you in about 10 minutes. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.